Mic check. Good morning, everyone. Sorry we had a little technical difficulties, but we are live in effect this morning. Yeah, I blame somebody. Good morning, people. I apologize about that. We are live in effect. Reaching the settlement table. That's going to be the name of our show moving forward. And we're going to go through some options for you to do that. Whether you're a buyer or whether you're a seller, we're going to make it happen for you. All right, so let's jump right into it. First of all, I want to say, give a moment of silence to those who we've lost due to this COVID. Had a very good friend of mine pass away within 9 days, and I tell you, this COVID thing is no joke. And after she got sick, I decided, hey, you know what? Let me get this vaccine after all. So let's have a moment of silence for the loved ones and the friends that we've lost as a result of this pandemic. And if you haven't yet, and you're on the fence about it, get your vaccine. Thank you. Nothing happens in real estate unless you have a home for sale. So we're going to talk about getting your home prepared for sale. All right. Now, you have what you call a seller's eye, and then you have a buyer's eye. Again, KJ Johnson, your trusted real estate professional, 17 years in the business. This is what we do. We make things happen for our clients at a high level. And before we get into grants and programs and things of that nature, let's just start with the basics and the fundamentals. And that's, if it's not a house for sale, real estate is not taking place. All right. So what we need to do more importantly is making sure that your home is prepared for sale. The seller sometimes have a way that they look at your property or a way that they see your property, but not knowing that how the seller looks at the property and how the seller views the property. This guy is in my way. That's my engineer just getting things together, guys. It's important that you think about the buyer, because the seller can be so attached to a house, and sometimes the seller have done a lot of infrastructure homes to a house. Infrastructure things like added insulation into the house. Maybe they've gotten the new plumbing. Okay, maybe they've gotten a new HVAC, a new hot water heater unit, and all those things are really important. However, when the buyer comes into the house and it's not becoming, none of that matters at all. Like a buyer will walk, like me, when I bought my first home, I would walk through the front door. If I didn't feel it, I was out. My real estate agent was here. He would get upset with me. He was like, man, you didn't even walk through the house. I'm like, I don't need to see anymore. So after he sat me down and broke it down to me, I toured a little bit more. But you have to make sure, as a seller, you don't think about you. You have to think about the buyer. So let's think about some of the things that the buyer likes to see when they pull up to the house. The house is power washed. Okay, that we have, the grass is cut and manicured. You might want to paint your front door. Make sure you have that presence. Make sure you get a new outdoor porch light. All of that is all becoming. If you have shutters, paint your shutters, or like I said, just power wash the house. All of those are things that are becoming. And when they open the door, they should be greeted with a fresh scent. Some people say that an apple pie scent is good. Some of my staging comrades have told me that the Hawaiian scent, that the plug-in scent is very, very popular, and it's inviting when a buyer comes in. So it needs to smell good, and then instantly it needs to look good. Okay, you need to have some fresh paint. Your house should be staged in a way that it's almost model home perfect. taking away all of your personal items, your personal pictures, the pictures of your family. I know it seems intrusive, but we're trying to sell a house, and this is the art to making it happen in a fast level, at a fast place, and at a high level. So you have to kind of take yourself out of the equation and think more about what are you doing for the buyer, and appealing to that buyer and that buyer's family. Okay, and then don't get it twisted. I don't care who shows up at the door. It's the wife that make the decision. So you can bring the husband all you want, but if the wife says she don't want that house, the sale is not going through. Can we just get an amen on that or a thumbs up? It's just not going to happen. So you have to appeal to the wife and the family and the kids. The husband, he get the basement and he get the bill. All right. So make that clear. So these are some of the things that a family want to see. They don't really want to see, a lot of your personal pictures and things, and they want to see themselves in your house. If you could update your kitchens and your bathrooms, if you could make sure it's tidy in certain places, because again, they're looking to see themselves in your house. They're looking to see themselves in your property. Okay. And then, as they're touring the house, making sure the house is neat, making sure that if you have any access furniture, if you have any access clothes, if it's the wintertime, put away your summer clothes. Just take it to storage. Take it to a storage unit. Sometimes we have people just to rent a storage unit, okay, and put all of your excess items in the storage unit. It seems like, wow, I don't want to do all that, but this is the art of getting your home sold in under 30 days, and in this market, under 5 days. I actually put a house on the market and sold it in 36 hours. Okay, put another house on the market, sold it in 48 hours with 9 contracts and 5 more that was on their way before my seller just said, hey, I've had enough. I know what I want. Okay, so those are the things that you need to do to get your house prepared for sale. Now, some sellers ask me, do I need to get a home inspection? Yes, you can do that, but anything that you do that comes about from the home inspection, and we're going to talk about that a lot today, it becomes material fact, and you have to disclose it. Now, you as a seller, you know things that have happened to your house, but you don't know every detail. And if you have 4 home inspectors come to your house, they're going to find some things that are similar, and then all 4 of them are going to find things that the other ones didn't find. So at that point, you would have to fix those items. So you can't get a home inspection and not disclose it to the buyer. So if you want to get a contractor to come over to do a, health and maintenance check of your property, check your roof, the plumbing, the electrical, to make sure that there's no leaks and things of that nature, you might want to be proactive, just ask for, get a roof certification, get a HVAC certification, get a plumbing certification. These things are good triggers for a buyer when they come to your house that, hey, look, the seller have done this prior to them selling the house. So that makes them feel like, hey, this person have really put some work into the house and they're taking care of the property. Because you can have a person that had a home for 30 years and it be in better condition than someone had a home that had the home for 5 years. Why? Because they took care of it. That's the major difference. All right, taking care of it. All right. Do you need to get an appraisal before you get your home or you list it for sale? You can do that, but know that the buyer has to get an appraisal, and whatever that appraisal comes in at the value, that's the value. So you can get an appraisal to assess the value to determine your list price. But if that buyer gets an appraisal and that buyer and it comes in less, then that's going to be the number, because that's the appraisal that's going to matter. Now, sometimes if your listing agent is savvy, they'll meet the appraiser. They'll give them an updated copy of the appraisal so they can compare comparables in the area. And that sometimes will help substantiate the value. But sometimes appraisers, they got their own mindset. Like I had an appraiser, I had listed a home in Ricerstown, and this guy came down from Gaithersburg, and he had the appraisal done before he even got to Ricerstown. He told me, hey, I don't think the value is going to be there, just to let you know. And I'm like, well, you haven't even seen the house yet. And my buyer and my seller at the time, he had put a lot of custom painting, custom hand painting in the house. I'm talking about after you paint and you go back and you do custom things on the walls. Imported granite tops, not Home Depot stuff. Imported granite tops. imported flooring. These things, he had a system that was unmatched. His house would just sell, all his homes would sell in days. Like 10 days was too long, So the appraiser hadn't come in and assessed any other updates in the bathrooms, the kitchen, the flooring, any of that. So he actually killed that deal before we even had a chance. And then only to have another buyer get another appraiser, and it came in, $25,000, $30,000 more. Now FHA appraiser has to stick with the property for 6 months, so we had to switch it to conventional, and then it came in much higher. Why? Because the appraiser was familiar with Reisterstown. He was familiar with the area. He lived in the area. So sometimes an appraiser will come to an area and they'll destroy your deal because they're not familiar with it. They don't know the trends in the area. They're not looking that deep. All right. So unfortunately, that's a real truth. So those are things that can actually sabotage a really good deal. All right. But these are things that you want to think about when you preparing your home for sale. Take your emotion out of it. Make sure your home is available in an hour or less. Making sure you declutter, make sure it smells good, fresh paint, and any upgrades, upgrade the bathrooms, put new ceiling fans in, if you can, new blinds. All of those things will appeal to a buyer as soon as they hit the front door, because then they're saying, wow, this person is taking care of their house, and that makes them want to go to the next level. Okay. So that's preparing your home for sale. I could do a whole seminar on selling a property, but we're here to just move around and mix to talk about a couple of different things. But it's really not more to be said other than that. Make sure that you do those things, and you will have a successful sale. Period. Point blank. Bottom line. You're gonna have a successful sale. All right. Now, the buyer is, on the other hand, they have their role in the home buying process. But sometimes nothing can take place without having your credit in order. So let's talk about credit for a moment. So if a house isn't being sold, there's nothing happening. If your credit's not good, you're not buying. So let's just jump on credit just for a moment. And there's a lot of people out there that are resistant to credit repair companies. Credit repair companies, if they're good, they work. I worked with several of them. I'm affiliated with a couple of them. And when I first got into business, my first 30 or 40 deals, I fixed these people credit myself. Now back then, because don't call me, I'm a real estate agent, right? I can help you out, but back then you only needed a 560 credit score, so it was easy to get that. All I had to do was get a couple of negative items off and establish an account or two, and you were there and beyond. But now they have these 640 credit score requirements, and you have to be a little bit more savvy, but the math still works. All right, so let's just talk about the very first thing you can do to boost your score up is pay your credit cards down if you have any. Let's talk about that for a second. That's your utilization rate, the amount of credit you have versus the amount of credit that's owed. So if you have a $10,000 credit card and you owe $9,000 on it, your utilization is through the roof. Okay, so if you have another credit card that's $5,000, you owe $4,000, your utilization is still through the roof. So you have to bring that utilization rate down. So paying your credit cards down to, I won't say zero, I'll say $10 at least on all your credit cards. $5, $3, $1, just not zero. Will immediately increase your credit score. Now, some people say, KJ, I'm trying to buy a house. I have money for down payment. I have money for an appraisal. I don't have money to pay these credit cards down. You got to tell me something else. I knew you were going to say that. And I'm prepared for you. Because that's what we do. We are prepared for you. KJ Johnson, your trusted real estate professional, is always prepared for you. So what else could you do? You can get a credit line increase. Yes. You can call your creditor and say, listen, I have a $5,000 credit line with you. I've paid you on time. Do I qualify for any increases? And if they increase your credit score, that changes your utilization rate and brings your score up. Right? So that's one thing you can do. What else can you do? You can add new credit. If your credit is decent, you can add maybe a $5,000 or $10,000 credit to your profile, which will change your utilization rate. All right. So if you have $10,000 worth of credit and you owe $9,000, and then you add another $15,000 worth of credit with zero balances, well, your score's going up. Why? Your utilization just changed because now you have more available credit. Now, some lenders don't want to see you get new credit so fast or close to the process when you're trying to buy a house. But if you're strategizing and you're being strategic and you're saving your funds and you're getting your ducks in a row and you have a timeline that's maybe 3 to 6 months and you're looking at your money and your resources coming in, and 6 months from now you're still not going to have the money, it might not be a bad idea to say, all right, well, let me just do a mixture of both. Let me add some new credit, not use it. Let me get a credit line increase and not use it. And then I'll pay down what I can. And that still put me on a path to be able to use my funds available or that I may need for my transaction. All of those things are great ideas. There's a couple of companies out there that will help you or get high lines of credit to help change the utilization rate. One is My Jewelers Club. I heard they only report to one company now, one credit bureau now, but that's fine. We're going to get into why that's fine, because when a mortgage company looks at your credit, you have 3 credit scores, okay? Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. Whatever the middle number is, that's your qualifying score. Whatever the middle number, so if you have a 650, a 659, and a 670, the number that's in the middle is going to be your qualifying score, all right? So in this case, 2 of them are higher. Your middle score is going to be 659. All right. So let's just change this scenario. Let's just say if it was a 559, a 659, and a 670. That 559 is not going to kill you because it's not your middle score. Your middle score is going to be that 659. So if you get an account that only reports to one bureau, that's a plus. That means that bureau is going up. So if it's Equifax or TransUnion or Experian, if you get this account with My Jewelers and it only reports to TransUnion, and TransUnion increase 50 points or 30 points, well, guess what? You have one more bureau to increase by that, and you're still in a good place. Okay? Another company is New Coast Direct. All right? New Coast Direct is another company that that'll give you a $5,000 line of credit, and that'll help change your utilization rate. But I think they only report to one of the bureaus. That's still a plus for you. Getting yourself a Fingerhut account. Some people don't like Fingerhut. They say that they're high, but Fingerhut, because of the type of account that it is, sometimes it'll help boost your credit score right away. Okay? Now, if you're in a situation where unfortunate things has happened and you're hitting and you're going from the bottom up and you're trying to figure out, like, listen, I can't even get a secured credit card. Some people like, Gage, I can't even get a secured credit card. What do I do? I knew you were going to ask that, and I have an answer. If you're starting from the ground up and you're just like, I don't know what to do, write this down. The most important thing you can do about what I'm saying to you is write this down, okay? There's go to CQ, okay, State Employees Credit Union. They have a product. It's called a deposit secured account, or sometimes a secured shared account. This is how that works. You give them $300. They take that $300 and they put it into an account as a hold, as collateral, and then they loan you back the same $300. So you walk in with $300, deposit into an account that becomes a collateral loan, and then they give that money back to you. Now, the only purpose that you're going to do this, and the only reason why you're going to do this, is for the sake of building your credit. So they may ask you, do you want to tie it to a retirement vehicle? Do you want to tie it to something else? The answer is no. You don't want to do that. You're only trying to build your credit. All right? So you go to them. You can take $500. $500 is a good number because you're not going to be without your money. Some people are like, hey, if I go in there with $500 and I don't walk out, I'm looking for you. You can come find me. We can meet at Krispy Kremes or something because you're going to get your money back. All right, we can meet at Chick-fil-A for lunch because you're going to walk in with your money and you're going to walk out with your money. Okay, but when you do this loan, ask them to amortize the loan out for 5 years. Really important that you do that. Now, there are some other credit unions that do this. Some will only do 6 months. It's not going to help you. You need something for at least 24 months or longer. 12 months is okay. 12 months is okay. And I'm going to tell you the reason why. So the first thing you're going to do when you get this is amortize it out for 5 years. As soon as it hits your credit report, you're going to go and pay that loan back down to like $100 or so. You're going to leave just a few months left, maybe a little under 12 months worth of payments left. And the reason why you want to do that, because it's going to change your utilization rate. So if you have $500 and you get a loan and then you turn around and pay it and then you only owe $96, remember we talked about utilization rates? Well, that's going to change your utilization rate and bring your score up. Now imagine this. Imagine if you did 5 of these accounts. Don't be afraid of this, all right? Because this is your money, all right? 5 of these accounts. The same way. You walk in with $500, you do a loan, they give it back to you. You make a payment on it, the money becomes available right back into your checking account. You pull the money out. You're never without your money, okay? So you can open up these loans, pay them all down, all with the same $500. I know it seems a little weird, but you got to understand it's just moving money around. They holding money, you making payments on money that they're holding, and as you making payments on it, they're releasing that money right back to you. You pay $100, $100 come back to you because it's a collateral loan, all right? But what that does is it gives you 5 trade lines on your credit report. Once you have 5 trade lines on your credit report, now you're starting to change the landscape of your credit. You're building it from the ground up, and other creditors will begin to take a chance with you that maybe not have taken a chance with you before. Fingerhut, normally anybody can get approved with them, but even in some instances, they won't take you. All right? So this is a easy way. Okay, unless you can't get into CQ for some reason, like if you have something with check systems and you can't open up a checking or savings account with them. Clear up your check system situation and try this product. Now, you're more than welcome to ask any of your credit unions if they offer this, and if they do, it's great. If they don't do 5 months, that's fine, but they have to at least do 24 months to 12 months because you want to go in. If it's 12 months, you want to go in after you get it, and in the first month, pay it down and have 6 payments left, and that's going to increase your score. All right? But you want to be buying a house in the next 6 months, and here's the reason why. Once you pay that account off, your score is going to drop. Why? Because it is not reporting anything. That's why it's important to do it the other way if you can, because when you pay it down, your utilization rate changes. However, you still have a year or so worth of payments, so you don't have to worry about your score tanking. And by the time you pay it off, we can reestablish some other credit so to kind of anchor you back up. Like you open up these 5 accounts to get more accounts. So once you open up these accounts, then you want to try a credit card with Capital One. Then you want to try a Fingerhut, or then you want to try a Credit One. Or then you might want to even try this credit union for a secured credit card at that time. That's good. Try Bank of America. Sometimes Bank of America have a secured credit card that matures, meaning that it goes from secured to unsecured. TD Bank has a credit card that matures. PNC Bank has a card that matures. But if you can't on the onset get with them, do this route first. Get the secured shared accounts on your credit report, and then try. Sometimes the banks can be a little more difficult, so I would make them last. All right, but try to find a company that has a secured credit card that matures. Like Capital One has a secured credit card. You pay them on time, and then after 12 months, it goes to unsecured. That's a good thing. They give you back your deposit, and then you're moving on up. So believe it or not, you want to have 5 to 7 trade lines of positive credit on your credit report that you're paying on, and that's going to help to maximize your score from the beginning. All right, so that's where you want to start. Some people like, when I get my taxes, I'm going to pay off my accounts. Don't do that, because some accounts you pay can bring your score down if you don't know what to pay. All right, so I would start off with establishing some new credit first. And if you're going to pay these accounts from your taxes, call the creditor up and do what they call a pay per delete. Like, say, listen, if I pay you, will you delete it off my credit report? And before I pay you, I need something in writing. Now, I worked as a debt collector for 17 years, even though I'm only 37. I worked a long time. So I worked as a debt collector for 17 years. And in that industry, you have to be careful. You have to be really, really careful, because you give these people your checking account information, they have it, so they can use it against you at another time. So you want to be careful. Like, if you're going to pay these creditors, go open up another checking account, put your money in there, and pay them from that checking account that you're only putting money in specifically for that. Otherwise, what'll happen is, say for instance, if it's a collection agency, say ABC Collection Agency, and you owe a Verizon bill, well, they may have an account with Sprint. They may have an account with people who you owe tickets to. They may have an account with people who you owe medical bills to, right? They may have a relationship with them. So now they have your check information. You call them to pay Verizon, but they see you owe all these other people. And you say, well, I ain't paying that. Guess what they'll do? Garnish your wages, put a lien on your account. Be very careful who you pay and giving them your information. Do a Western Union payment if need be. Or, again, just open up an account specifically for doing settlements. If you do a settlement with them, a lot of times, we're going to get into disputing in a moment, but if you can do a settlement, that'll be great. But if not, getting it deleted is better. But we're going to talk about challenging debts in a moment. And sometimes when you challenge an account, as long as you owe them, they're going to fight you tooth and nail. But once you do a settlement with them, they don't care about you anymore. All right, so let's talk about that. Challenging debt that's on your credit in letter form. Real simple. Fair Credit Reporting Act states that if they have unverifiable information, or if they're reporting inaccurate information, it has to be deleted from your credit report. Has to be deleted. So if you owed an original account to Verizon for $127, and now that you have a bill for $209, well, that you could dispute that on those grounds as not your account. And you can ask them to verify in writing with your signature the validity of that account. All right. Now, do you owe the money? Yes. Let's start there. You know you owe the money, right? But this is just a technicality. Okay, so don't get yourself jammed up saying, well, it ain't mine and you know it's yours. You know it's yours. You know, we just trying to get your score up and trying to get you into a house, get your credit good. Don't get sued. All right, you don't get your stuff in a worse situation. But if they can't verify it, they have to take it off your credit report. But that won't stop them from suing you. Okay, so you get it off your credit report, and then now you're in court. But just try to come to a complete resolution to it, whether it be to pay a portion of it or pay it in full and have them delete it. So if you do a settlement, fine, get it in writing, and then we can dispute it later. Or pay it in full and say, if I pay it in full, I want you to take it off my credit report. And a lot of times, credit agencies will do that for you. All right? Now, real simple letter. I'm going to say a simple letter. Do not use this word for word, and I'll get into why. I can't get into too much, but so the credit bureaus have a program called eOscar. They catch or they scan credit repair letters for similarities. Even the envelope gets scanned. Yeah. So they look at it for similarities. If it looks similar to something else, they're kicking it out as a frivolous dispute. So you want to put this in writing. Sometimes you want to write it in your hand. If you type it, you want to write some type of cursive on it, use a cursive font. So don't use this verbatim, but just use generally. All right. Hello, my name is John Doe or Jane Doe. My street address is 123 Doe Avenue. My social security number is 7777777, and my date of birth is 7/7/1970. All right. So that's how your letter want to look. You want to provide a copy of your driver's license and your social security card with your dispute letter. And if your address that you live in at is different than what's on your license, then you need to provide proof and via utility bill, or like to see a cable or Comcast or maybe a water bill, or possibly maybe even a BGE or gas and electric bill. okay? But you want to send that with it to verify your address. And your letter can be really simple. Hello, my name is Jane Doe. I've reviewed my credit report, and I've seen I've seen a lot of inaccuracies on it that need to be addressed. I mean, I'm not sure how this happens, but we really need to get this resolved right away. The following accounts are not mine. You list the name of the creditor, you list the account number that's associated with it. You thank them, and you drop that letter in the mail. You do not sign that letter. Why? Because if you sign that letter and then they ask for verification and those signatures match, well, there goes your dispute out the window. We verified you through your signature. Okay. So you just want to write that letter. Now you might want to write in cursive, thank you very much for your cooperation. Now, I've personally seen letters from Lexington Law, right? That letter that I saw that came from them, what happened was a client of mine had used them, and in that process, one of the bureaus changed addresses. I think it was TransUnion changed where they did their disputes. So the letter came back. And I'm going to tell you, the letter it sounded like it was written by like a 7-year-old. But that's the way you want to write it. You don't want to be all intricate. And for those of you out there who like to write, and our scholars out there that, I'm going to make this letter sound so intelligent, you don't need to. The letter said, hey, howdy. This is what the letter, I can't make this up. Howdy. Howdy. I reviewed my credit report, stuff all messed up. This is what the letter said, right? Y'all need to fix some things. Starting with, and then they start listing the names of the items. And I'm looking at this letter like, this is the law? I'm like, what? I'm thinking I'm going to see some sophisticated writing. Not so. So you don't have to be all sophisticated. You just have to make them think that you're not working with a credit repair company.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Hold just 1 minute.
Okay? So that's going to be, and if it was anything more than that, I would tell you. All right? This account is not mine. I was never late with this bill. This is weird. This is, this write the letter how you would normally talk, like in a conversation. Don't think you got to get real deep. You can even just use some slang in there. Like, hold on, this is bananas. What is going on here? I'm trying to get my bag up, and y'all messing up. I mean, seriously. Say, listen, y'all. Look, listen. It's a couple bands on here that know, but I mean, really, just make it. Use some slang. They won't know. Use your slang. I mean, I'm talking. My nephews be talking about they getting bands. I'm like, okay, I got you. I don't know what I'm assuming that's money. Money. I'm like bands, money, bags. I'm trying to get my bag now. I'm like, okay, you got to be talking about money, right? So just use some slang, and when you draft your letter, and you'll have some success. All right. So and listen, if it was more. And it can be a lot more to credit. Sometimes we have to take more of a forensic look in order to get you to the results that we need to. But if you use any of that information, it will help you. I guarantee you. Listen, I think Homeland Security was created because I applied for a mortgage. My credit was it was terrible. It was terrible. I had stuff in my name. People got stuff in my name, and I'm like, I don't even know. I didn't even know who Fingerhut was. But that's the first time I heard about Fingerhut. Somebody had a Fingerhut account in my name. I'm like, who is this? What is that? And once I was able to get some of that stuff taken off, which was a journey, all of these things I use myself. And some of the things I learned working with credit repair companies. So I'm not talking to you from a person. I've been down. Some people can jump in the hole with you and climb out, or some people can look at you in the hole and try to talk you out. But if they've never been down there, they don't really know how to get out. They've never been down there. They don't know what it feels like. They don't have the emotion attached to it. So trust me, I've been there. So and all these things have worked over and over and over again. I have clients call me, KJ, I just filed bankruptcy. And I'm thinking like, oh my God, they get ready to ask me about their credit. I'm like, but I did everything you told me 9 years ago. I got a 725. I'm ready to buy a house. I want to sell my house and get another one. I'd be like, so if you use these principles, those are very simple. They will work. All right. Rule of thumb, 5 to 7 lines of credit. When your shared accounts mature or you get ready to pay them off, you want to replace them with credit cards. So you want to have at least 5 to 7 credit cards or an account with maybe like a Finger Hut or like a Walmart or maybe a Macy's. Those will balance your credit out, you know, or Fashion Nova for the women. You know, what's the other one I see a lot of? And don't get me lying. But okay, so that's enough for the credit right there, all right? Now we're gonna move on. Now that we got a house ready for sale, you got your credit in position. Now we're ready to buy a house. So let's look into some of the things in reference to preparing preparing to purchase, and then we're gonna jump into some programs and we're gonna wrap this thing up. All right. If you guys have any questions, please start to write them down now. I'm gonna ask some questions in a moment, and then we're gonna be wrapping things up for today. All right. So I did this amortization schedule. I'm going to go ahead and hold this up. I don't know if you guys can see that. If not, you can see that. All right. For sale or for rent, right? And you see I got $1,500 there, right? So who's paying $1,500 rent in 2021? You know, 15, 17, 2,000, 2,800. If you're out in Upper Marlboro and Bowie, I'm feeling your pain. I put you guys in those rentals at 2,700, 2,500. I mean, on this alone, $1,500 a month after 15 years, that's $270,000. If you're on the fence about buying a house, that should get you off the fence right there. And that's at $1,500. Okay? Put a 2 in front of that. That number changes drastically. All right? So buying versus rent is always a great idea to buy. The reason why you want to buy, it gives you it's a sense of an investment. It gives you control, fixed cost. It gives you a real sense of accomplishment. Tax benefits. If you have a mortgage of $2,500, at least $780 of that is tax deductible every month that you won't have now paying rent. Okay, it gives you a sense of stability. You know, you don't have to worry about the landlord coming and giving you that renewal every year, raising your rent. You know, now your taxes may go up, and that may change that sometimes, but that's not all the time. That's not every month. That's not every year. I mean, some landlords raise your rent every year religiously. They know they can get a raise. They're going for it. Okay, what should you do? You know, when you're preparing for a purchase. Research grants and first-time homebuyer programs. Attend webinars like you're doing now. Don't rely on someone else's experience. As soon as you start to buy or sell a home, 2 people come out the woodwork. One is the HGTV expert. Okay, they watch all the episodes and they try to apply what they see on TV to your real-life situation. The second person maybe bought one house. They either bought or sold one house. And the fact that we've sold hundreds of houses and helped people, buy thousands of houses means nothing, because that one house is their lifelong experience. And you're holding on to that one transaction as the end-all be-all to your transaction, and sometimes it's just not. And sometimes this is a person that you trust, especially if you're meeting someone like me for the first time, and you don't know me personally, but this person who's the expert, you know them personally, so you're relying on their expertise. So attend webinars, do your research. You let Google and YouTube be your best friend, or just call me. We can sit down and have lunch and go over what your options are, and we can find out what your options are and go from there. All right. Research home prices in your area. All right. So if you're paying $1,900 in rent for a townhouse and you want to buy that townhouse, it's not going to drop your mortgage payment to $1,500. You're going to pay the same, or at least up or down by 10 to 15%. All right. What is the paperwork that you're going to need? Okay. Last 3 years tax returns. All right. Last 3 months bank statements. Last 2 years W-2s. The most recent 30 days pay stubs, verification of child support, documentation if you're getting divorced or separated, and if you're self-employed, you're going to need a profit and loss statement and your tax returns for the past 2 years. All right? Who are the players in your transaction? Your agent is going to be a real estate agent. So when an agent solicits the business of a consumer, they create what they call an agency relationship. Your relationship is really with the broker, the realty executives, the Long and Fosters, the Northrop Realties. They're the broker. Now, you may talk to a real estate agent. That's your salesperson. But your relationship is with that broker, that agency. So you want to have a good realtor so that you can trust them during the process. And if you don't trust your realtor during the process, then you need to hire one that you do trust. Now, some people are just really just nervous nannies, nervous Nelsons, and they're nervous about everything. They don't trust anybody. I mean, their sister is a realtor, and they don't trust her either, you know. So you have to just make sure you do your research, because it's going to be some blind spots. No matter how much a real estate agent talk to you, no matter how much a mortgage person talk to you, it's just going to be some things that you don't understand. But you have to make sure you read it, you try to get an understanding about it, and then move forward that, hey, listen, all right, well, it makes sense enough for me to Google it. Maybe you have a lawyer that you can call, but getting a copy of some of the documents up front, like sometimes I meet with clients, I give them a copy of the contract, the buyer agency agreement, and the home inspection. Why? Just so they can have. So when I send them a contract for sale, it's not such a wow thing to them. Some people see these contracts, they be like, man, this is a lot. You know, but getting that information up front, being able to read it and call and ask questions really, really helps. All right. So your realtor, if you're a buyer, is going to be your buyer's agent. Listing agent is going to be a listing realtor or broker. Your mortgage lender, your builder. Listen, if you're buying new construction, please don't assume because they're nice, offering you cookies and Coke soda, that they work for you. They work for the builder. You need your own real estate agent that's going to come in and negotiate on your behalf. Now, a few years back, I had a client that came to me. She was in the process of buying a new home in Millersville, and she had the money to put down that they were telling her she needed, but she just said, I just didn't understand everything. And they told her she needed $26,000. And we went in and we looked at her finances and found out she qualified for some of these grant programs. So we renegotiated her whole deal. Like the builder was only giving her like $10,000. We renegotiated that entire deal. They ended up giving her $22,000. We found her a program. She only needed $6,600 at the table opposed to $26,000. Right? That's the difference that a real estate agent can make. You know, when you come in, hi, how you doing? Oh, your daughter's adorable. They just winning you over. I'm not saying that they bad people. They winning you over. But it's now the road runner and the coyote. When you start talking about, I want this house, you have to put that enmity, that barrier there. Okay? You're nice, and I appreciate your kindness. Now, what can you do for me and my family? And then you have your real estate agent present with you, and your realtor is going to listen for all the no's to know how to negotiate the yeses. That's what we do. Everything they told me they wasn't going to do, I didn't say a word. I didn't say one word. And when they were all done, I had the whole entire strategy all mapped out. They said, well, if you don't use us as a lender, we're not going to give you the closing costs. If you don't use our preferred lender, then we're not going to give you, I think it was $10,000. We only give you $5,000. So I said, okay. And then they were like, all the things that they wouldn't do. So what I said was, okay, well, we're not going to use your lender. We're going to use her lender. We're going to raise her sales price up by $15,000. And we're going to ask that you just contribute $21,000 or $22,000 in closing costs help towards her closing costs. And we're going to use an outside lender that's going to get her money for her down payment. And then she's only going to need just a few, $6,600. So I just listened to everything they said he wasn't going to do, and then threw it back at them, and that's what a realtor should do for you. Okay. Someone had a question.
Yeah, Devon on Facebook asks, with new construction, can a realtor negotiate the price?
Absolutely. Now, in today's market, it's tough to negotiate price because let me give you some statistics. These are real numbers. The real estate market is up in sales, 29%. Inventory is down, 30%. Now, I know you're probably figuring, like, how could that even be possible? Homes that would normally sit on the market 90, 120 days are selling in days now. Homes that would never sell are selling. It's a famine. It's a real estate famine right now. So people are doing ridiculous things like they're writing contracts and they're saying if the house under appraised, I'll pay over the appraised value by $30,000. Like I had one lady say, she wrote a contract that if the house under appraised, they would pay up to $30,000 over the appraised value to beat everybody else out. You know, we took that contract, but I was like, wow, that's a lot. You know, now it didn't come to that, but they were willing to do it. So you have to just be strategic. And I'm not going to leave you guys without some strategic negotiating in today's market. You tuned into the right place, reaching the settlement table. KJ Johnson, your trusted real estate professional. We're going to get you into your house. All right. So who else involved? Your home inspector, your surveyor, your insurance agent, your title company is going to help facilitate the transaction or the sale of the house from the seller to the buyer. All right. Now, let's talk about negotiating in today's times. Now, normally I would advocate for asking for closing cost help, but we're in a different season right now. So you can still ask, but a lot of times your contract is going to get put to the back burner. So if you have a 401k, if you have any thrift savings, if you have a family member that's willing to gift you money, you might want to tap into some of those resources now. Okay? Some of these programs you can use, you can stack them, and they'll pay your down payment and some of your closing costs, but that's not always the case. All right, so we're going to talk about negotiating for today's market. All right, so an approval letter is great. You're going to need to provide a bank statement to show that you have funds to close. If you have a retirement account that have a substantial amount of money in it, you may not plan on using it at all, but you might want to print that out and submit that with your offer. Why? Because that's what everybody else is doing. Bank statements with $100,000, $60,000, $70,000, showing that they have funds to close. Putting the required down payment is $12,500. They're putting down $50,000, $60,000. Earnest money deposits would normally be 1% of the sales price. On a $400,000 house, $4,000 would be good. Now they're doing $15,000 earnest money deposits, $25,000 earnest money deposits on a $400,000 house or $500,000 house. It's very competitive out there. Do you have to do that? No, because a seasoned realtor is going to look for other things. They're not going to be so easily, convinced or persuaded by a high earnest money deposit when there's so many other compensating factors in helping the seller select a qualified offer. Qualified offer meaning an offer that is going to work for the seller and the buyer. Okay, if it's an offer that just works for the seller, then that's just not really a negotiated deal. And I tell my sellers that, listen, you can try to dictate this and you can go after the higher offer, but looking at all these other compensating factors, you might want to go for another offer. Why? Because this person finances is verified. They may have a $10,000 earnest money deposit opposed to $25,000, but the other person that put $30,000 down, I haven't talked to their loan officer, and I've been calling them for 3 days. That's a red flag right there. Okay, I called this guy a loan officer for 3 days. He hadn't called me back once. So what's going to happen when we have an appraisal issue or I'm calling for an update and, you're trying to facilitate the sale of your house so you can buy another house? That's the type of communication we're going to have. Hey, that's a red flag. So it's other things that you need to look at. What was that question that they had?
Okay, Shani on Zoom asks, why don't they want to include your closing costs in the mortgage?
Well, your closing costs, they have something called prepaids. And then you have expenses, settlement expenses. And typically, that's an out-of-pocket expense. So they try to provide you with resources such as grants and programs or seller help to take care of that. So for the most part, when you're going to purchase a home, you have to actually have the resources for 3.5% of your sales price and then an additional 4% to 5% of the sales price for closing costs. So you're talking about 9% of the sales price of the house that you're looking at. That's how much money you need as a buyer. Now, as a real estate agent, what we do is we negotiate on your behalf, and then we try to find you resources to help offset that. And again, we're going to get into some negotiations and how we can get the lender to kick in and help you out with that. That's what we do. We make that happen. All right, so we're on our way with that. All right, so here we go. All right, was it another question? All right, All right, so here we go.
No, you answer his question in that answer if he was listening, Devon.
All right. All right, so here we go. All right, you have a home that you want to write an offer on, okay? You want to get a lender letter. You want to get your earnest money deposit, which you feel comfortable giving. That will stay in an escrow account with your broker or your realtor's, your real estate agent's office. Okay. If you have resources to close, if you have funds to close, you want to disclose that. If you have thrift savings or check-ins or savings, you want to print out your bank statement, blot out any personal information, show your name and that information. Why? The listing agent is going to be looking for it. The seller is going to be looking for it. This is the time that we're in. Some people say, I'm not doing all that. You don't have to. You're just not going to have as much success as some of the other people that are. All right. Now, listen, I work with mostly buyers. I was resistant. I'm like, we're not doing all that. But after you start losing a couple of transactions, you're like, listen, I have to get with the program, And plus, you're a listing agent. I didn't even ask some of these agents for this information. They just sent it. I mean, the first thing I saw on a contract, instead of the approval letter or the contract, I saw a bank statement for $125,000. Of course, that got my attention. And, like, what is this? So this is what they're doing. So get that together. All right. Time frame is fast. You want to close as fast as you can. So you want to try to close in 30 days or sooner. And if you can, in 2 weeks or 3 weeks or sooner. Why? That just provides the seller with that much more confidence in your offer, okay? Sometimes moving at a fast rate puts the seller at a disadvantage if they're trying to negotiate their next move. Offer them a rent back. Offer them a free rent back. Yes, I said it, a free rent back. Let them rent your house back for 2 months at no cost. Someone did it for my client in Highsville, gave her 3 months for free. Their mortgage was $2,600 or $2,500. They gave it to her for free. Why? To be competitive. All right. Now, when you become a homeowner, a lot of times you skip a month on your mortgage. So if you settle in, say, June, you may skip July and pay in August. So, but for them, they have to pay. They have to pay that rent right away. Right, so that might be a negotiating tool for you to say, all right, well, I'll let you slide for a month or two. Why? Because you want to show the seller that you really want them to, want to do business with them. All right. Now, another thing you want to do is you want to write a letter that appeals to the agent and that appeals to the seller. They used to call these love letters to the seller. Well, I've added the listing agent into it. Why? Listing agents are on the front line of our industry, and they have to deal with a lot of different personalities. Sometimes those personalities aren't necessarily the best, but they have to still get these homes sold for these people. All right? And when you give them their credit by starting off a letter like, hello, I visited your home today. I thank you for the opportunity to tour your home today. And by the way, your listing agent did a fabulous job in consulting you on how to get your home ready for sale. They did a great job. They might not have done anything. It might have been the whole seller, but still, the agent have gotten their credit. And if the agent did help facilitate it, well, then you just got this agent some referrals. Because they're going to say, wow, even the buyer recognized how good my agent was. I'm glad I picked them, right? And then go into something personal about the house. Like if you like the kitchen cabinets, maybe the colors were white, or maybe the colors were maybe a mahogany color or an espresso color. If there was a particular wall paper or maybe a custom vanity, or just try to identify with the colors in the house, a bedroom set, a bedroom, a dining room piece, just something personal. And you put that in that letter because you're trying to connect with the seller. And you want to put all that in your letter. Okay, and then introduce yourself. Hey, by the way, I'm KJ Johnson, and I'm married. I have 4 kids, and we would love to give your home the same love that we see that you've given it, and we look forward to spending time in the basement and having cookouts on your deck, and just enjoying the landscape that you provided in your lovely home. You want to just put that together, not too long, but meaningful. Okay, meaningful. And then a lot of times that'll help you. That still doesn't mean you're going to get it, but it's putting you in the runnings opposed to just sending over a contract and saying, here I am, make me look good. You're being strategic, okay? Absolutely, okay? So, also, what we want to do is make sure that you that you have an updated qualified letter. Like if you have an approval letter, make sure your approval letter is not from 3 months ago. Make sure it's recent, within weeks, and then that'll make you look good too. All right. Home inspection. People are starting to do as is with inspections. They're starting not to do a home inspection, and they're starting to do something called as is with inspections. Now, I always advocate for home inspection because if you're a first-time buyer, you do not want to inherit someone else's problem. However, if you do as is with inspections, at least you get a chance to do a home inspection, and if it's something that you don't want to deal with, you can back out of it. Sometimes you can ask a contractor to come along with you. They can help you identify some potential issues, give you a cost on it, and then you can determine whether it's something you want to move forward with or not. I did have one house where they actually did no home inspection in this market. Zilch, nothing. It wasn't even in the contract. We accepted that contract. Why? It was just less risk for the seller. Would I have done it? Probably not, but I wouldn't have advised. I would have did at least as is with inspections. I'm always going to default to that. Unless you're buying a new construction house that's 5 years or less, not saying that you won't have an issue, or maybe 10 years or less. It's just too much. Like again, because you're going to call me about an issue, and I'm not going to be able to help you fix anything. I mean, I put drywall up backwards, so I'm not going to be good on the maintenance side of our on the maintenance side of our relationship. I'm not going to be good for you. Okay. All right, I can help you with the credit. I can help you find a deal. We can negotiate a contract. You start talking about you need drywall, you have leaks, you got HVAC issues. Call Sonny. That's my contractor that I use because I'm not going to be able to help you. Was it a question there?
Yes, sir. Someone asked, how can you help someone who has the annual salary, the credit score, but no savings to pay down payment and closing costs?
We're gonna get to that towards the end. All right, save that for me towards the end. Let's wrap this up and then we'll get back to that. All right, I got you. Okay, we're gonna figure it out together. All right. So those are the things that you want to do, and when you submit your offer, and when you get your offer submitted and it goes to the seller and it gets submitted and it gets accepted, you go to an appraisal, and the appraiser is going to assess the value. Hopefully you'll do the home inspection. They're going to ask you for updated documents. You're going to need to get hazard insurance for your property. Okay, you're going to need to get hazard insurance to make sure if something goes wrong with the home that it's covered. Okay, and then any repairs that were negotiated need to be. They're going to provide documentation that it was done by a licensed contractor, and once you do that, you do the walkthrough, and then you're on the hook. You're on your way to settlement at that time. Okay, so that's going to be pretty much the nuts and bolts of that. Now, we're going to talk briefly about how to successfully buy a foreclosure. Now, I don't have any notes on this. This is how simple this is. I don't have any notes on this. All these gurus to tell you about investing and in this and that. I'm going to break it all. I don't have a note in front of me. This is all off this from knowledge. Okay, so just write this down. Okay, the first thing you want to do is not get a list of foreclosed houses. That's not going to help you. You want to find the money. You want to get pre-approved first. And the loan you want to get pre-approved for is called a 203K loan. Okay, it's a repair loan that allows you to buy a house, and they give you the funding to get the house and the money to fix the house up. Okay, 203K loan. You want to get pre-approved for that loan first. Are there programs you can use with that? I knew you were going to ask that question. And I have an answer, yes. It's called FHLB, Federal Home Loan Bank. That is the only one of the programs that I know of, and I'm pretty sure I'm accurate, that will allow you to use a 203K loan with that product. Most of the other ones have other stipulations that prohibit it. Okay? Now, A 2 or 3K loan is going to allow mean that you have to put your own money down. You have to fund your own down payment. Now, here's the good and the bad side of that. The good side is if you put down your down payment and say your down payment is $12,000, however, the repairs on the house is $35,000. I mean, you put down 12 and they're going to give you 35. That's a win-win all day. Now, there's a half 203K, which is up to 35,000, and then there's a full 203K, which is over 35,000. So depending on the nature or the scope of work, you can do a full. You can get up to $100,000 to fix your house up. Let me say it again. You can get up to $100,000 or more to fix up your house. And here's why. If you get pre-approved for $500,000 and you find a house for $300,000 and you had $200,000 left over, you can use $200,000 to fix the house up if you needed it all day long. Okay? That's where you want to start. Get approved for that loan first. Second thing, identify a contractor that is trustworthy. Sometimes this investment aspiration stops right here because if you don't get a good contractor, they're going to beat you out of your money and be slow getting your work done, and you're going to get frustrated. It's happened to countless of people I've tried to help over the years. So I have a contractor. His name is Sonny. I have another one named Lamont Collette. He was in Randallstown. He moved. I have his number. These guys are people who I send business to. I trust them. Lamont's a great guy. I sold him his house, his first home. I've never had anyone complain about him. He's never disappeared. Neither do Sonny. So you want to find yourself a Lamont, you want to find yourself a Sonny, because that's going to be the next important thing. Because they're going to have you create what they call a scope of work. A scope of work is everything you want to do to the house. New kitchen, new bath, new flooring, new painting, new roof, new windows. Okay, in addition off the side of the house, whatever it is, they're going to help you put together a scope of work for the house. Now you're ready to look for a house. You got a contractor. Now we're talking about finding a home now, because they're going to help you identify that. Now you can go out and find a house, take your contractor with you with your 2 or 3K loan, and now this person you can trust that can give you comprehensive, fair repair costs on the home. And he can create this scope of work for you. You can know whether this home will fit in your parameters or not. All right? That's where you start at. You want to start right there. Now, if you can survive a 2 or 3K loan, then you can get into investing, because the investment loans that you're going to do with a hard money lender mirrors this loan right here. It's a scope of work. It's a draw schedule. A draw schedule meaning that your scope of work is broken down into maybe demo, and then then framing, and each schedule there's a pay period that comes from the bank or the investor to the contractor to complete the next phase of work. All right, until completion. That's the same way it happens when you flipping a house, or you want to have other aspirations to do investment. You have to pull permits, make sure you have the proper permits, and then you're good. All right, 2 or 3K loan with a bank, get yourself a good contractor. Now you can find a home. Now listen, it doesn't even have to be a foreclosure. It could be a home that's outdated. Listen, foreclosures are good, but finding a home that's been outdated, that's been on the market for a little while, that's a foreclosure in Spanish. And here's the benefit to that. A home that's been sitting, the sellers still have to do repairs. Foreclosures, they don't. Transfer taxes have to be split equally. With a foreclosure, they're not. Sometimes you pick those up. The seller is still on the hook. A foreclosure, they're off the hook. In most cases, they never even seen the house, and they make you sign a disclosure saying they never seen it. So there's something when you list a house, it's called a disclosure disclaimer. You disclose what's wrong, or you disclaim that you don't know anything. Everybody is signing that disclaimer because they never lived in that house. Sometimes the seller who is selling a house will do a disclaimer, but they are held liable even if they sign a disclaimer saying that they don't know. They still held liable even though they sign it. So you don't necessarily have to go after a foreclosure to have a successful transaction like that. Now, I found a pretty good couple of different deals out here. One in Catonsville, another one in Upper Marlboro. Pikesville. They're still out here. I mean, the homes are selling fast, but there's still some really good deals out here that are phenomenal deals that you can maximize on. They're not foreclosures. All right. So that's how you buy a successful foreclosure. And then if you have other aspirations, we can partner you with a hard money lender. Still keep your Lamont, still keep your Sonny, and they'll be with you throughout your investment endeavors. All right. So we talked about credit. We talked about getting your home for sale, buying a house, buying a foreclosure. You said, KJ, where is the programs? Let's talk about some programs. All right. So we have something called. Oh, now, by the way, this webinar is sponsored by Meridian Bank. Brian Jones over at Meridian Bank is a great guy. His number is 410-935-6746. 410-935-6746. If you want to get pre-approved, text me at 443-744-5280. I will send you the link. If you're on Facebook, hit that like button. All right, let's talk about some programs. Now, Mr. Jones is going to have a little bit more detailed programs once he speaks with you and he gets your location, your geographic location where you want to move to, the area, the county, and things of that nature. So the Maryland Mortgage Program, they call that Old Faithful. Okay, there's always money there. There's a couple components to it. There's a 3% component, and then there's a 4% component. Okay, that's FHLB, Federal Home Loan Bank. We talked about that. There's now a Federal Home Loan Bank of Pennsylvania. It was one of Atlanta. Now it's one of Pennsylvania. The one in Pennsylvania, they're giving $10,000 out, guys. So that's a great thing. Okay. There's a Community Development Grant in Baltimore. There's Vacant to Values. There's Live Near You Work. There's Home Buyer Renaissance in Columbia. There are programs for the medical field. If you're a medical worker, if you're a DC government worker, there are programs for, I'm sorry, not DC, but the federal government have some programs, not a lot now. I think there's some provisions for it, but most of the time the federal government don't give you much. But the state workers is where you're going to be able to maximize. The state workers, there's programs for state workers and medical and the people in the medical field. All right. Let's see. In PG County, okay, you have programs that are available to you in College Park. There's a College Park program for you. So what I'm going to suggest that you do in Anne Arundel County, there's a program where you can get the $40,000. Okay, in Montgomery County, there's another program that you can get the $40,000. Now, Brian Jones is going to be your go-to guy for all of those. He's going to be the person that can sit down, take your information, pull your credit, look at what area you want to move to, and find you the exact program that's going to be good for you, whether it's Baltimore County, Howard County, PG County, Anne Arundel County, Montgomery County, or Charles County, Queen Anne's County. He's going to be able to help you with all of those, okay? All right, and his number is in the chat. All right, so that's going to do it for me, unless you guys have some questions, which I'm pretty sure you do. You can get ready to unmute yourself if you're on Zoom, and if you're on Facebook, you can type it in, and I'm going to give you the number to Facebook. Facebook is a little delayed, so the number is 1-855-493-6499. You can call in, okay, 1-855-493-6499. I'm going to have my engineer put it in on my Facebook page as well on the screen for you to call in. So anybody have any questions at all? Kimberly, you're up next.
Kimberly, you have a question?
Oh, I'm sorry. I missed the first 25 minutes. So whatever happened during that increment of time, I didn't get to hear the advice that was given.
Okay, this is what you can do. You can go on Facebook at KJ. What's the page? KJ?
KJ Johnson at RealtyExecutives.com. The KJ Johnson team of Realty Executives.
Or Mix Station Radio on YouTube. And you can see it right there.
Yeah, everything will be there. I apologize about that. Or call me, 443-744-5280. I'll give you a one-on-one. How soon are you looking to purchase a home?
I am, at this time, I am transitioning into a career. into a career search progress. So I need to do career acquisition first.
Okay. All right. Well, you can give me a call, or you can watch it on YouTube or Facebook. But we're here to help you whenever you're ready. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you
Shani,
so much.
you're up next. Shani, you're up next.
Good morning, Shani. How you doing?
Shani, you have to unmute yourself.
Hello.
Thank you. Yes, it stated that the host was not allowing me to unmute.
I know.
Thank you for taking my question. I need to understand, or there are several, I guess a three-part question. Number one, you talked about closing cost help. But what I'm starting to see is that there are not any programs for educators. So is there anything that you can suggest? That's number one. Number two, I was looking into foreclosure homes, and I need to understand what is the time frame we are looking at for foreclosure. And I was also looking into USDA homes. So can you touch on USDA homes? And I know about the 203K loan, but I guess for me is that a lot of realtors are staying away from those. So, and you also stated that I've been seeing homes that have outdated bathrooms who are built in 1965. And you stated that we could use the 203KB for that. Is there any way for you to explain or expound on that, please?
Sure. Okay. As far as the loans for educators, that's where Mr. Jones is going to come in at. You give him a call, or you fill out the application, and he'll be able to go over that, because there's definitely some programs out there for educators. The USDA is a loan type. It's 100% loan type, mostly in rural areas. So depending on where you're looking to move to, USDA is going to be a 100% financing option for you. And there's some slithers in PG County, mostly Carroll County, Frederick County. You're going to run into that. But what happens is, if you're looking for a house that you think that's in a USDA zoned area, we would just have to verify that via the map to make sure that it's within those guidelines, and then you can utilize that. In terms of the outdated bathroom and the foreclosures, there's really no time frame on foreclosures. It's really going to boil down to your lender and how fast they can facilitate the process. Unless the foreclosure asset manager isn't ready, there are things they need to do on their end, but they're going to move at the speed of your loan officer and his team. So if they can get title turned over relatively fast, if they could get the appraisal turned over relatively fast, if you're diligent in getting them the correspondence that they need to get to the underwriter to make an informed decision, then most lenders can close any deal under 30 days or less. Or even Mr. Jones can do it. Don't tell him I told you. He's going to see this on you. He can do it in 3 weeks, really. I mean, his system is just flawless. You know, sometimes he does run into a glitch here and there, but for the most part, he can do most of the grants take you 45 days. He can do those in 30 days or less, because he has the right team and the right system. And I've worked with him at Carlton Bank. I worked with him at Howard Bank. I worked with him at other banks, and it's always the same. So it's not like it's the bank, it's him. He knows who to hire and where to put them strategically to make his platform flawless. And in terms of the 203K loan, for homes that are outdated and that, again, he can get you pre-approved for that. And then what you can do is, again, the scope of work to determine the value of it, provided that you qualify for that house, they'll loan you the money to buy the house and fix it up. So if it's a $400,000 house, the house is $300,000. They can loan you $100,000 to do any renovations to that property that you would want to do. Did I hit all your questions?
She sounds like she's writing.
Okay, that sounds good.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Okay. I have been working on my credit and my
Is this hold on? Is this the same person?
No, different.
No, this
Oh.
is a new person.
New person. Stacy, good morning. How you doing?
I'm
Look, I
filling
was
in blank
confused.
space. Quiet time.
Hey, no problem.
Good drop in.
I've paid down my credit cards to 2% utilization.
Awesome.
But still have open lines of credit. And I was told by a lender, pulled my credit, did a hard inquiry. So I'm kind of like anxious about having somebody else pull my credit and do a hard inquiry, that because my credit score it's at the 640 range, but because I have student loans,
Okay.
that they would not be able to get me an FHA loan.
There are some programs for people with student loans. A lot of times, depending on what your monthly payment is, that's really probably cutting into your qualification or your debt ratio. And I've seen people who've been in deferment that don't have a payment right now, but because they can't give them a dollar amount as to what that payment would be, it's hard for the lender to determine, because if they loan you a house and then you get you get hit with a student loan bill that's $1,300, that's going to put you in a financial hardship. So a lot of times they will want to see what's the bare minimum they think it would be from the financial institution that's hosting or servicing your student loan, and then that'll give them an idea of where they can go in terms of financing.
So I did I think it was on Sally Mae or something. They did a debt to income ratio. My lender provides a letter that states I am in deferment because of the pandemic, but they gave me a letter stating what my student loan would be when I am paying it. So I entered that information, and with that information, I'm still at a 34% debt to income ratio.
Okay, that's not bad. Well, I encourage you to, I don't know when you did your last inquiry. A lot of times it's 14 days before, as long as it's in the same genre of business, like as long as it's mortgages and you don't apply for like a credit card, it should only account as one inquiry if it's been within 14 days. So I encourage you to apply and have Mr. Jones and have his team take a forensic look at your finances to see what we can do for you guys.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate you tuning in today. Anybody else want to talk to KJ? Any more questions? I know somebody got to have some questions for me. Who's this young lady with the glasses on right here? What's her name? Yeah, you. Yeah, you smiling right there. Miss Lauren, you have any questions for me? You look like you have a question.
No, I'm okay. You've answered all my questions. Thank you, though.
All right, thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that means I did a good job. I didn't talk so much, you don't even have any questions. That's a bad thing. I got a big mouth. So I thank you guys for tuning in today, as usual. I am a real estate agent, 17 years in the business. If you're looking to partner with someone that you can trust, if you're looking to start this process, give me a call, 443-744-5280. Send me a text. I'll put you in my calendar. Let's get you out and find you a home. Let's find you some resources, and let me put my staff to work for you. And again, I have a team of loan officers that I work with. Brian Jones is always at the top of that list, but I have a team of loan officers. It's 15 to 16 of them. Everybody's situation is different. So depending on your situation, I can send you to someone else. Okay? Big shout out to Paris Taylor of Allstate out in Randallstown. He's another sponsor for our workshop today, Classic Inspections. Vincent over at Classic Inspections, thanks for being one of our preferred sponsors. Sonny over at Sundance Construction, thank you for being one of our sponsors. And hey, listen, reaching the settlement table, that's what we're going to do. That's what I'm here for. All right, KJ Johnson, your trusted real estate professional. You guys have a blessed weekend. Wear your mask, get vaccinated, stay safe in Jesus' name.